Hisense is not necessarily all about smartphones. In fact, their company makes electronics in general: televisions, refrigerators, air conditioners, washer dryers, etc. These are the Hisense phones that are running eInk screens and sometimes color eInk. They released a bunch in 2019 and 2020 and are now following it up with this, the Hisense A7. This device has a massive 6.7-inch screen with a resolution of 1800 by 900 and 300 ppi. It has an 8-core processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of onboard storage. It of course has speakers, things like gyroscopes, microphones, accelerometer, and a 3.5mm headphone jack, along with a USB-C port. This thing, for all intents and purposes, is a current level and up-to-date smartphone. So in terms of approaching this as a smartphone review, we're not going to touch on any of that. Yes, it has speakers and it has the ability to change your settings, your notifications, sound vibration, display brightness. It is a fully fledged smartphone for all those intents and purposes as far as that is concerned. We're going to focus on the eInk side of things. And nothing is more synonymous with e-ink than e-reading. Technically, corner to corner, this is bigger than an Amazon Kindle. It's more narrow because it is portrait-based, like a smartphone should be, but essentially it is a bigger screen overall. Reading is a blast on this. Everything is very quick, very snappy, and page turn animations are a thing of the past because basically this thing is so spec heavy that those page turn animations don't get in the way like they do on a regular e-reader. Manga looks phenomenal as well, although because of the portrait layout, it does get a little bit squished, but you can pinch and zoom and basically find your ideal level of reading. But the PPI means that this is a very dense screen, so manga really shines through. The stock App Store does feature a lot of apps, but most if not all are all in Chinese, or they're the Chinese version like Amazon.cn, etc. If you do speak Chinese, live in China, or are Chinese and live outside of China, you will find great value in this. It's organized very well by various categories, everything's very fast, and it's very clear as to what does what, how big they are. You can click on it, get a little bit of a synopsis. The App Store is good. Google Play doesn't work on this right out of the box, but we will do a follow-up video on a way you can put Google Play on this. You can, however, download from the browser itself or side-loading directly from the device storage, and you can see right here, you can download anything and they'll pop up inline on your app screen. There's a few things that make this phone a little bit unique. If you swipe up, you get into some widgets that are gridded on the screen. So you have 1x3 row here, and everything has different height. You can agree to different things like Fusion Reading, and it will trigger JD Reader, iReader, Migu Reader respectively, and you can install WeChat to basically keep up with all of your correspondence, subscriptions, moments, favorites, etc. Swiping over to the left, you get HiSmart, and this is a card-based system. You will see things like sports, express, weather, shortcuts, etc. You can edit the cards you do or do not want to see by going over to the card management. Here you will see all cards, different layouts, and the card management option allows you to delete things like read later, express, etc., and you can add things down below by just clicking on them. The most important thing you're going to touch on this device is the bottom right corner. This will move you over to the light modes and, more importantly, the speed modes. You have 4 different modes: clear, balanced, smooth, and speed. Clear is the clearest one, which basically means that you have the best overall screen resolution, PPI, etc., but the device slows down pretty drastically, I might add, and things just go to a crawl because it's trying to deliver the best look every single time it refreshes. However, if you go over to something like balanced, smooth, or even speed mode, this is where the device gets really snappy, and this is what makes people consider using this as their daily phone because there's no hindrance and e-ink doesn't feel like it's getting in the way of anything. Surprisingly, because this thing is loaded with specs, the camera works pretty nicely for e-ink. Now remember, e-ink needs to constantly refresh the entire page in order to develop an image. It's not constantly refreshing like LCD LED, so there's a lot of strain, and for a camera to work this well, it's pretty impressive. The eInk button on the left side of the phone is unique to this and eInk phones only. You can change what you want it to do, for example, single press, double click, or long press. Each one will have its respective functions, so if you wanted your single press to close a panel, reverse to the next page, and you want your double press to maybe turn on and off the front light, you can do that. It says backlight, but that's just because this is inherently a phone. It is actually a front light. You can also click on the eInk button introduction if you want to see how to capture notes, screen refresh, page flip, switch between modes, and open the eInk control panel at any time. Hisense doesn't really focus on eInk phones. It's a very small thing they do. But what's funny about that is they do it the best out of everybody. There's only a few players in the game, and basically none of them are available for retail purchase. If you want an eInk phone, Hisense is your only choice. This thing is so brimming with specs, and they're following it up with a color version next month. It's absolutely amazing, and it's not going to replace your main phone, but it comes closer than any other company has. For more information, keep tuning in to goodereader.com or youtube.com/goodereader, and for a full review of the Hisense A7, this is Peter.